Why mother tongue is not a medium of instruction in the education system of India. It's part 2. All socio-economic facilities in India, no matter how limited its scope may be, is designed exclusively for the benefit of minority Anglophonic ruling class. Role of the remaining indigenous Indians is to pay 30 to 35 different types of taxes for being physically present on the soil and cast vote once in 5 years. This enormous tax revenue is the greatest attraction for politicians in public office. Every public institution or personality or media, whether English or vernacular, remains silent on the monopoly of the minority Anglophonic called Kala Angrez, and more important, deprivation of the majority from higher education on the basis of language. Print and electronic media, education system as a whole, bureaucracy, industry, and urban population is engaged to culturally condition the masses to accept the language of Aam Aadmi is not fit for schooling or to conduct official functions. Marginalization and exclusion of Aam Aadmi language from socio-economic life is justified with ridiculous excuses like communication with the world, use of a neutral language in a multilingual country, lack of textbooks, etc. In this context, it must be made clear that the contemporary world is under the influence of Anglo-American interest, which is shifting slowly but steadily. One of the vital elements of personal and national prosperity is the current world is to learn their language, which is English. It is therefore essential that in Indian schooling, far from discarding English, must ensure that 80 to 90%, as opposed to current 10% of its population, are able to express thoughts in that language, but by no means at the expense of its own language, culture, tradition, and heritage. Covert design of the prevailing education system is to promote most shameless and slavish imitation of everything Anglo-American, not just their language, but accents, gesticulations, slangs, dress, food, jokes, etc. People are being aggressively conditioned to think that their features and complexion is not good enough. They must look like those whose mother tongue is English. To pretend ignorance in mother tongue has become a kind of urban culture. Urban English medium schools are known to penalize students for speaking in vernacular. Such outrageous conducts are being practiced under the nose of a functioning government. After all, age-old dictum of human civilization teaches us one can't pretend to be anything else but what one actually is. That language barrier cuts off common masses from essential services of government is explained and justified with pathetic logic. It is not possible to discard English as a language. Issue is never to discard English by any means, but issue is to understand what is the most efficient way of absorbing and communicating information. Let's take a look at the nature of schooling of Anglo-American Western countries, whom Anglophonic Indians feel proud to imitate, uncritically and slavishly. Even the smallest city-states of Europe, despite numerous difficulties, use vernacular language as medium of instruction and as first language. Why? To ensure efficient absorption of information, which is possible only in mother tongue. Subject matter, when absorbed efficiently is communicated through a second language, which in most cases is English and others. A minimum level of success in the second language is mandatory to clear a given level of schooling. Hence, they use first language, which is invariably mother tongue, as language of absorption, and a second language as language of communication. It doesn't need any special inquiry to realize how superior their quality of schooling is, and proportionally how numerous and widespread their contribution in technological development. Mother tongue based education That is exactly what all great educationists of India have always and all along recommended. And this is exactly what all developed countries have adopted. Schooling in a foreign language at the expense of mother tongue is a schooling that breeds unemployable cheap labor that are incapable of innovation. This is exactly the net result of schooling in India and countries alike. Since the last war, technological innovation have revolutionized urban life all over the world. Why 130 crore population of India or 180 crore people of Commonwealth have made no contribution whatsoever in that innovation except playing the role of cheap labor for the West. Such issues are never raised or debated in the media or in the public forum. Higher education that scavenges on Anglo-American leftovers can't possibly give rise to original ideas. Monopoly of English and deprivation of schooling in indigenous language is one of the major causes of chronic technological underdevelopment. Environment has been created where it is not even possible to discuss this brutal fact. It is significant that 50% of the graduates of Indian colleges are not employable. Let us take a look at an English news item on this.
Last year, a partner at KPMG India published a piece in the New York Times about the poor quality of graduates entering the workforce in India. And now a national survey finds that almost 50% of India's graduates are unemployable.
Here is another Hindi news item.
मगर सवाल है कि भारत में जिस परीक्षा के लिए छात्र अपनी जिंदगी का अहम हिस्सा हवन कर देते हैं, वो जब इंजीनियर बनकर निकलते हैं तो किस लायक होते हैं? क्या वो इंजीनियर बन पाते हैं? प्रतिभा की पहचान और शोध से जुड़ी एक कंपनी एस्पायरिंग माइंड की ताजा रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक 8% से भी कम भारतीय इंजीनियर इंजीनियरिंग की ठोस भूमिकाओं यानी कोर एरियाज में नियुक्त किए जाने के लायक हैं। यानी 92% इंजीनियर कोर एरिया के लायक नहीं है। कोर एरिया का मतलब हुआ मैकेनिकल, सिविल, इलेक्ट्रिकल और केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग। 2011 में नेस्कॉम ने एक सर्वे में पाया कि सिर्फ 17.5% इंजीनियरिंग ग्रेजुएट ही नौकरी के लायक है। नेशनल एसोसिएशन ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर एंड सर्विसेज कंपनी का छोटा नाम है नेस्कॉम। इसके सर्वे के मुताबिक 82.5% इंजीनियर नौकरी के लायक नहीं मिले।
Question is India the engineering examination for which students sacrifice their life as they become graduate? Why they are unemployable? One of the major causes, just one, not the sole causes of this is kids are unable to effectively absorb information which is transmitted in a language which is not their own. It is perfectly relevant to ask what might happen to the level of technology and technical expertise if Germany, Japan, France are forced and or tricked to accept Spanish or Chinese as their medium of higher education. Without any doubt, it can be said that their international competitive edge will decline. As we have emphasized, only 10% or less of Indian population is Anglophonic. In countries like Japan, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Holland, Germany, between 70 to 90% people read, write and speak English, yet their medium of instruction at all level of education is in their indigenous language. Why? They are convinced and have proved that information is best absorbed through mother tongue, and absorbed information then can be expressed to the outer world through second and or third language. It is these countries who are contributing to the innovation and advancement of technology, whereas 1.8 billion people of British Commonwealth are nothing more than appendages and cheap labor of the Western market. Great personalities of Bengal like Rabindranath Tagore wrote. Here is a photo of Rabindranath. Sharad Babu observed, Bengali can't indulge in thought process without Bangla. Angrez cannot think without Angrezi. Useful thought process for an English is impossible without mother tongue. It is the same for a Bengali. No matter how great an English scholar she may be, without Bangla, a Bengali cannot develop independent, original, unique thoughts. These are scientific facts and beyond cheap discussion. Aspire to excel in innovation without that language is nothing but madness. Satyendra Bose, the Indian physicist, first suggested gas-like qualities of electromagnetic radiation that subsequently gave rise to the discovery of subatomic particle named after him called boson. Based on his finding, 3 physicists were subsequently awarded Nobel Prize, but Bose was not. The latest one was Peter Higgs at the University of Edinburgh, and particle is now called Higgs boson. Life's mission of Bose was to introduce science education in mother tongue. He publicly regretted that his thought process of teaching science in mother tongue is ridiculed in his own Bengali circle. Here is a clip of a video made by the influential Bangla media house Anandabajar Putrika. Note his son's, Rathindranath Bose, statement followed by the journalist. Here is a Bangla news item.
তাদের কেউ মনে রাখে না, কিন্তু প্রফেসর বোস যে থিওরিটা বের করেছেন সে কথা আজকে স্টুডেন্টরা পড়ছে এবং চিরকাল ওনার নামটা লোকে মনে।
It is significant that big Bangla media or any media in India do not utter a single word on why Bose's discovery is not granted deserving credit. Neither do they raise the issue of his life's mission, making science available in mother tongue. After this news item, one of the major English print media published a 1-inch long news item in the inside page column introducing Satyendra Bose. It read, "Who is Satyendra Bose?" Today in India, graduates of so-called good schools know more about Michael Jackson and Harry Potter than about Satyendra Bose. No wonder, inside their bedroom, Anglo-American West considers Commonwealth as an appendage of the West and their Anglophonic elites as contemptible clowns. Why not? After all, what is deserved must be realized by strength, not by begging, and respect and prestige are also gained the same way. It's a well thought out design that ideas and precepts of the great personalities of Bengal in India, for that matter, who strongly favored mass education in mass language, are never ever seriously discussed in the public forum. One may wonder why, after all structure and function of state administration of India and British Commonwealth runs not in the interest of its population, but in the interest of Anglo-American West. This explains why schooling system all over India is dominated by English, hence must run for the benefit of new colonial masters of Anglo-American West instead of common people. This also explains why Western media is so vocal about largest democracy and non-existent high growth rate of South Asia, which is a hoax to its common people but beneficial to the West and their native brokers. As we explained before, schooling of developed countries fits exactly with the recommendation of great educationists of India, and consequently they are turning out superior quality human resource that is compatible to the requirements of their own society. Their contribution and influence in the world is for all to see. Their indigenous schooling has taught them that you can't pretend to be anything else but what you actually are. Schooling which enriches students with knowledge of indigenous language, literature, history, culture, heritage and tradition, along with exposure to multiple other languages and culture, promotes creativity and contributes to world civilization. This is exactly what characterizes education system of the Anglo-American West, and this is exactly what they will try to prevent third world countries to adopt. In conclusion, it must be emphasized that schooling is one of the most important elements for shaping human resource, but not the only one. In case schooling in India is transformed tomorrow by magic, things will not improve dramatically. There are several other factors that work in tandem with schooling that accounts for overall advancement of human society. Will that day ever come to India? If you like what you see and hear, subscribe and ring the bell.